Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can brake boost this here a little bit. That's pretty good. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's I'm going to be reviewing the all-new Mazda CX-50, and I'm going to tell you guys what it's like to actually live with the new CX-50. First and foremost though, I do want to mention if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. With that being said, let's get into the video. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.5-liter four-cylinder that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 23 around town and then 29 on the highway, with power outputs being about 250 horsepower and then 320 pound-feet of torque if you use premium, and just use premium. Now let's go to the front end of the CX-50, and first off, I love the blue on the CX-50, but I think my favorite color is like that sand color you can get, and I think the first CX-50 I reviewed had that color on it. But anyways, I love these body lines here in the center of the hood and then off to the side, just super distinctive looking, and it just gives it a really muscular appearance. And then coming down below, you guys can see here with the daytime running lights and with the headlights, again, normal Mazda styling. And then look at the grille here, all blacked out. You got the signature Mazda logo with the camera there at the bottom of the logo. Parking sensors here on the front end, and then we have this fake venting, and then we've got the little orange lights as well. And altogether, it actually looks really good. Again, this looks a lot more aggressive and just, I think, a lot more appealing compared to the CX-5. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 245, 45, 20 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see here with the wheel design, you got the silver there on the top and it's kind of like darker below that. Again, it's kind of like a normal Mazda wheel design. And then notice how chunky the fender flares are, and then you can see like the bodywork here on the bottom. Again, the reason why it's not painted is because this is supposed to be an off-roader, so you're not going to be able to as easily damage, I guess, the plastic parts. Beam suspension in the rear, which is very strange. We'll talk about how that kind of affects the driving dynamics a little bit later. But here's kind of like your full side view on the CX-50. So here's our key fob for the CX-50. You guys can see Mazda logo there in the front. We have our lock function or unlock, and then the opening here for the hatch. So we'll press that and it'll pop it right open. And funny enough, right before filming this video, I just took this to the grocery store. So grocery store approved, at least for Ben Hardy. But anyways, you got the spare tire underneath, and we've got this flat loading floor. It's actually really spacious, like you can fit quite a bit back here. We have these little latches here that'll throw down the second row seats so you can get even more storage space. And because this isn't super tall, it's pretty easy to load stuff into the back. And then when you're done, you can actually press that to lock it, or you can just press that to lower down the rear hatch, and there you go. Now finishing things up with the rest of the rear, I really like the taillights here on the CX-50. I think they have a cool design, and also the turn signal as well. And then of course got our turbo badge down below. And we have our dual exhaust tips there on the bottom. And then more of that fake venting, which again, I'm okay with fake venting at this point because, you know, if it's for style, it's for style. It's fine. I know that it upsets some car enthusiasts, but just look how wide this is, especially in the rear. So here's a door panel in the back. You guys can see we've got nice padding down below. Up here though, as you can see, just hard touch. But notice here with a little window control and then pretty normal door handle. And then here are these seats. I really like these seats here in the CX-50. So you got this cool like stitching design, cross stitching design there in the center. And then notice the piping on the side. They look really high end. Then if we pop in, ooh, there's your legroom. Yes, I'm wearing sweats today. It's one of those days. No storage pocket here, but the passenger gets one. We've got heated seats here in the back, USBs. And then we have our cup holder armrest set up. And yeah, overall, really nice place. Seats are comfortable. It's pretty spacious. Let's head to the front. Now here is the front door panel. You've got that cool cross-stitch design here at the top. I wish they would have put this in the back door panel as well, so it's just kind of all uniform. Blind spot monitoring here for the mirrors, and then more padding down below. But again, up here, I mean, it's kind of soft. But anyways, got our window controls here. The mirrors do power fold in. And then here are the front seats. So again, notice perforated there in the center with that cool cross-stitch design. And then popping down below, you can see the bolstering and everything. Power adjustments here. Then here's our pedal layout. And we have a bunch of buttons here. So we've got our memory seat function there at the bottom portion. And then you guys can see the function for the hatch. And then stuff for like the traction control. And then like your parking sensors, the camera, the safety tech, like lots of stuff there off to the side. And then more of that cool stitching. Anyways, let's pop in. Now here's the steering wheel for the CX-50. You got nice leather trim all around, darker stitching there on the center portion, and then we do have adaptive cruise control. Now you notice it does have the little steering assist system. It's not the best system that I've ever experienced, but you know, it's pretty decent. Paddle shifters here on the back for that 6-speed automatic. We've got our volume controls, voice command controls, and also if you guys are wondering, that iStop thing is for that I showed you earlier. Here's a better look at it. That's for the auto stop start system that this has. Anyways, regular turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. I know that was all over the place, but there's the steering wheel. So here's the center gauge cluster. You guys can first see what I've actually been averaging from fuel economy perspective with this mix between highway and city driving. I love how you can actually change the gauge cluster to show different bits of info, and like how you can just have it be like a basic gauge cluster. That's pretty exciting if you ask me. And then we do have some different drive modes. We have an off-road mode. I'm still debating if I'm going to take this off-road or not. It just depends on what happens this weekend. And then we've got a sport mode. So I guess that's my time to say, hey, if you're not subscribed already, I recommend subscribing, because once I post that off-road review, if you're already subscribed, you'll be able to see that. And I post videos every single day, so trust me, it's worth it. But there's the center. So here's our center infotainment screen. First off, popping into reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and you guys can see the bird's eye view as well. And then if I actually put it into park and press the camera view button, then notice it pops up with like the front camera, which is great, because again, this is supposed to be like an off-road package. So we do have a bunch of different camera viewpoints, which again would help out quite a bit with off-roading. Now, as for the rest of the infotainment system, it's not a touchscreen, just like other modern Mazdas. Everything's controlled via a dial. It's pretty easy to use, it's pretty intuitive, but what I will say is it's kind of annoying how many times you have to press a button. So like you guys saw, I just went into the entertainment, then I got to press again, and then I got to go down to tuner controls. And then if I want to change the station, like it's just a lot. Apparently it's supposed to be safer because like it's right in your line of sight, being the driver, right? Because you're kind of getting this viewpoint and you're not like reaching over. So like I get that, but so much button pressing that it's kind of distracting. And then the dash here is kind of soft touch, but then down here is more squishy soft touch, and then in that cool stitching design. Dual zone climate controls here, heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, you know, all the normal stuff. And then as you guys can see there, got some nice storage space, got a couple of cup holders here, shifter for that 6-speed automatic, the drive mode select, parking brake, auto hold, and then this is the whole like control center for the infotainment system, including the volume control. And then we've got our center console here, which is pretty spacious. And then you guys probably saw the wireless phone charging pad there in front. And then we've got our glove box set up. And then last but not least, we have our sunglass holder. And then we have the controls here for the panoramic sunroof, and you guys can see ladder headliner. Now here's our window sticker for the CX-50, and you guys can see all the standard equipment here with this, and almost everything is standard equipment. Just a few options like the paint color, and this is the polymetal gray metallic, which has been a really popular paint color with Mazda. But anyways, it also has the Premium Plus package, and so you guys can see we go from the $41,000 to the $43,170 total MSRP after destination and all that fun stuff. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood, and hopefully you guys can now see the heads-up display. Both the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear, and let's set off. So setting off in the CX-50 Turbo, got in the sport mode, that did not gear down. I put my foot all the way down and it did not want to gear down. So I'm taking this on our performance driving road because, you know, this has a turbocharged engine and Mazda's known for their sporty driving and handling. So, you know, I got to see how this performs. And if I don't have a chance to take this off-road the week that I have it, then this bumpy, beat-up road will at least give me an idea of, you know, some of the handling characteristics that this would have off-road. Now, I will say the suspension is actually pretty squishy, which I think is a good thing for a vehicle that's supposed to be kind of more off-road oriented. And, you know, that being said, though, I can still hustle this. Like, I can definitely feel that the limit is not nearly as high as if they kind of tidied things down. I think this will be the big difference between this and the CX-5 is it feels like the limits on this are kind of a little bit lower, but it still drives amazingly well. And the biggest thing is the suspension. Like I said, it's squishy like an off-roader. So like going over these bumps and everything, it's comfortable, it's compliant, And so you actually can kind of hustle a little bit faster because you're just in a little bit more comfort. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can brake boost this here a little bit. That's pretty good. Now, something else to mention is, yes, this does have a manual shift function, but I recommend just keeping the CX-50 in automatic mode pretty much all the time, because the automatic mode short shifts, and the reason being is this engine is super torquey but not nearly as high with the horsepower, and so it basically short shifts to keep you in peak torque all the time, which is what you need out of this powertrain to really be able to hustle it. Oh my gosh, yeah, this thing is, I can kind of feel the weight quite a bit with this, and on top of being able to feel the weight quite a bit with this, it just doesn't, like I said, it just doesn't feel like it dances around nearly. That's a bad way to say it, but it just doesn't feel as light on its feet compared to the CX-5. But like I said, it's still a Mazda. Steering still communicates quite a bit, so like I at least know what's happening, which I think is a big plus. And we're just gonna slow down here. We got too many people driving on this road. I got what I needed. So I can at least feel what's happening, which I think is really important. Okay, so let's sum things up here with our review, our on-road review here with the CX-50. And I guess I'll go off-road a little bit there. Woo! Yeah, I got to take this thing off-road because I think it actually would do pretty well. Just seeing the, let's go off here again. Yeah, just kind of feeling that. It actually, again, like I said, the suspension feels pretty squishy, so I really want to see how this does. And it's got over 8 inches of ground clearance, so it should do pretty well. So first off, I think the exterior styling is great. It looks really cool on the outside. Interior is really nice, especially considering the price point. Again, Mazda gives you a premium interior at not a premium price point. And then from a driving perspective, it's kind of a mixed bag, right? So again, with this vehicle, Mazda's kind of saying this is their off-roader, and so they have given up some on-road driving characteristics, or good driving characteristics rather, to give it a little bit more off-road capability, it seems. So again, it's got over 8 inches of ground clearance, which is great, but you can kind of feel in the handling that it kind of feels a little bit more top heavy. Again, like I said, especially compared to the CX-5, and with that beam suspension, yeah, it just doesn't feel as like planted in Mazda. Like, this is actually more of a departure from what Mazda normally does than I realized until living with this. Other livability stuff though, seats are comfortable, air conditioning seat functions great. I wish that the self-driving stuff was a little bit better. I'm sure that that'll improve in the future. And so yeah, I mean, I still like the CX-50 more than the CX-5 just because it looks so cool. Like, the looks are so good that I'm like, I would rather buy this over the CX-5. But if you want a sportier driving experience, the CX-5 is going to give that to you. But if you're just using this as like, you know, a daily driver and you might go on the occasional adventure, then yeah, it makes complete sense. I don't think this is going to be a crazy hardcore off-roader. Again, I don't know yet. I'll find that out tomorrow. But let me know what you guys think about the new CX-50. I think they did a pretty good job mixing, you know, off-road capability, it seems like, with, you know, some solid on-road driving dynamics. Because especially when you compare this to like the average off-roader, this handles and drives substantially better. That's gonna sum things up with our video on this Mazda CX-50. And with that being said, I will see all of you in that next video.